get yourself at the pool with your kids, put on the swimsuit,
Yes.
get over it, because everybody else is thinking the same thing about themselves and they don't care what you look like. Get yourself to the pool and make the memories with your kids.
Hey y'all, it's LJ here, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. We are so glad you're here for another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Now, here's your host, Allie.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. We are so glad you are here week after week. You are listening to this episode because it automatically loaded right onto your device where you're listening from. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a subscriber and letting these episodes get delivered to you the moment they are available and listening so quickly after the release. We really, really appreciate it. I know we mention it all the time. I can't stress how much it means to us that our content is coming to you so quickly and you're absorbing it and loving it. I know it doesn't seem like it might matter, but it really, really does. So if you want to support our podcast, help us reach the ears of other Disney loving moms just like you, please subscribe, whatever podcast platform you are listening to. Take 1 second, get it done. So next week, you are among the first listeners as well. We love to watch that subscribership grow, and we love to watch our 5-star reviews grow. Take a minute, leave us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. And if you're listening on Apple, give us a review. Recently, our listener, Cakery Buns, wrote, I thought I was pretty good at planning a Disney vacation, but these ladies take it to another level. Thank you for all the tips. And Cakery Buns, we thank you as well. We like to think we take things to another level around here. And the fact that we're reaching so many people and helping make so many trips more magical, more fun for your families, less stress for you, keying you in on some of those things you may not have known that are making, all the magic more real for your kiddos. That's what we're here to do. And it's been so much fun. So thanks again. Today's episode is something I'm just smiling from ear to ear about. Everybody that listens regularly knows, and if you're new to the show, you're going to learn quickly. I'm extremely passionate about the Disney resorts. That is something I love. I love the resorts, but I also love their pools. And today I am here with Katie and Becky. Good morning.
Hello, how's it going?
Good morning. Is it summer yet?
This episode is making us all wish it were summer, but here where I live in Ohio, we just had a frost last night. So like we literally, my family moved into a new house this year. We had this beautiful landscaping and we've spent the last week, we had nice weather. And against the advice of some of our friends, we started planting some of our new flowers in the ground and potting them for around our new doors. And we had a lot of friends that were saying, it's not time yet, it's not time. And wouldn't you know, we had a frost last night. So
Oh,
that's Ohio.
however, you're going to get to dip your feet in some water this summer, I hear.
That's right. So my new house also has a pool. And actually, as I record this, I'm looking at my pool, which is making this episode all the more fun because we're talking about Disney World pools. And my pool at my house doesn't have a lot of the features we're going to talk about today, but it's still, awesome to have. So one of the things when I am planning my own family's Disney vacations, because, we talk all the time among us hosts about the different goals we personally have for our trips, right? We're not taking that once in a lifetime trip. We're going often. And so a lot of the time I'm strategizing my family's trip around the goals of the trip, the resort, and definitely the pool. And for families that I help plan that once in a lifetime trip or a trip with a specific goal, the question that comes up all the time, what is the pool like? Are my kids going to have fun in the pool?
When I was 5 was my very, very first trip to Disney World, or sorry, Disneyland. Disneyland was my home park. And my family took us there, and I had older siblings. I was the youngest, and they wanted to ride all the rides. I just wanted to go to the hotel and swim in the pool. I literally was just like, can we go back to the hotel and swim? I feel like that the pool can really be the difference maker, especially for those littles who don't get to swim every day. That was my childhood dream. Just give me a good hotel pool.
Yes, I have to say that I completely agree with that too. We were just on Disney property this past weekend. We stayed the weekend at Art of Animation And I was planning on staying in the Little Mermaid rooms, and we ended up getting pixie dusted and upgrade to a Finding Nemo family suite. And that was like so much magic in and of itself. But my kids, they want to hang out in the pool. And as a mom, I was all in my feels because our very first family trip was at Art of Animation a couple years ago. And it was bringing up all of those moments again for me from our first trip, but also watching my kids running around and playing in the Finding Nemo pool area. I don't know that you guys know, but whenever we were having our kiddos, we didn't find out the gender. We left it a surprise until they were born. And so I needed to pick a nursery theme that was going to be gender neutral. So we had a Finding Nemo nursery theme for our girls.
Aw.
Yeah, and so I'm watching my kids playing on the Finding Nemo splash pad, but in my mind, I'm thinking about how it wasn't that long ago that they were in their Finding Nemo jumper, and oh, I was like half in tears.
Oh.
I was wondering, I knew that first trip that sparked it all for you was at Art of Animation, and I was wondering if you were having big flashbacks while you were there.
Oh gosh, it was so good. I wish that we had spent more time at the pool, honestly. I mean, you can't spend your entire vacation at the pool, I guess, but we hit the Finding Nemo pool multiple times on the trip, and I wish that we had taken some time to explore some of the other pools at Art of Animation too, because they're incredible.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get there and talk about the resorts that have multiple pools. I've talked a couple of times already about the spring break trip which was the most recent one my family took, and the whole trip was actually focused on pool. We
Mhm.
weren't park focused, all except for the 4 parks, which, we talked about on the show, but the pool was the focus of that trip. And we'll talk more about that again as we get into the grading. But you were talking about when you were a kid, Becky, and loving to swim. I was totally that kid. I mean, in the pool, I can remember staying at Coronado Springs the year it opened with my family. And we had always had our go-to resort. And that year the resort was brand new. And my dad was just a sucker for wanting to try the new things. And so we got a room at Coronado Springs. My grandparents were there. And I remember just doing laps in that pool, actual laps for 3 hours. And my grandma being so worried, she's too tired. She can't possibly continue to swim this long. And I just would not get out of the water. But as an adult, I was talking to my daughter, my older daughter, and I don't love to swim anymore as an adult. I don't like to get my hair wet. I get cold very easily. I don't just like my body being wet in general. So a lot of times at the pool, the only thing I really love to do with my kids is go down the slide. So we were talking about the pool slides, and I was talking to my older daughter, and I was like, "No, honey, remember what I like to do with you at the pool? What do I like to do at the pool?" And the obvious answer is go down the slide because I do it every time. And she said, "I don't know, drink by the side." So I was like, oh, okay, fair.
Hey, but going down the slides is totally going to get your hair wet, no?
I usually put it up on top of my head.
We're going to put a plastic bag over the top of your head.
Yes, I will go down the slide 100 times with my kids. I'm there, but I do twist my hair up. I have very long hair, for those of you that don't know. I twist it up all the way in a knot on top of my head. And, it gets a little wet, but my hair's heavy when it's wet, and it takes a long time to dry, and then it dries really weird. And so I like the slides, but mostly I use the pools. I love the slides. Let me correct that. I love pool slides. And hot tubs, I don't mind at all. I love that. But I mostly use the pools for the atmosphere, for my own benefit. But my kids are now of the age where they get a little bit of swim freedom. I mean, they're still young enough that I have to be watching them at all times, but I don't need to be holding them in the water, which is a great era for us to be in.
Yeah, I love that. I completely feel that right now too, because, at the Disney pools, they give you the complimentary swim vests for your kiddos. And I have that measure of freedom that I'm not holding a baby the whole time in the pool now too. Even my youngest, she can put on a vest, and she's proud of herself for being an independent swimmer with her vest on, which, like you said, you feel as a parent, I have so much more freedom now. I mean, they're literally 3 feet away from you in the pool, but
Yeah.
But in addition to the life jackets that everybody can use for free, I am so incredibly impressed by the lifeguards, especially at the feature pools in Disney property. I, more than I can count on my hands, have seen a lifeguard jump in when a kid is showing any kind of struggle at all. Even an adult was showing a little bit of struggle, which how is an adult showing struggle in a 3-foot pool? I'm not quite sure, but I've seen over and over and over, those lifeguards actually jump into the pool. They are not afraid to get wet. It
Oh,
is,
I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but in case I haven't, my son was rescued at the Polynesian pool, but not he didn't need to be. He was probably 3 and he learned to swim fairly well pretty young. And he loved to do like that face down dead man's float, you know?
oh,
And so we were all kind of we were standing right by him. I mean, we were all right there laughing. It was on my multi-generational trip with my family. So there were lots of us around. And he's probably a foot from me doing the dead man's float. And I'm talking to, my wife or my mom or something. And all of the sudden there's this massive splash and the lifeguard jumps in, grabs my son. My son's like, whoa, what's happening? And I was like, oh, he's good. He's not drowning. But they saved him. They pulled him out of the water.
that dead man float is like every lifeguard's worst enemy.
I know. I was standing right by my son. I didn't assume that they would think he was actually struggling, but I was grateful. I thanked the guy. I was like, thank you so much for watching out for him,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I love to sit by a pool. I really do. We're going to talk a lot about some different features at a pool, like what a zero entry is and why it matters, because it really does to me. And that's going to be in our grading conversation here in a bit. But like I said, slides are a huge factor to me. And only some of the Disney pools are going to have slides. Just as a general rule at Disney World, the value tier resorts do not have pool slides, and they also don't have hot tubs. And for me, that's a big deal. Those are 2 things that I really love at the pool. And the size of the slide is usually like the moderate slides are a little smaller than the deluxe, but that's not true for every moderate and deluxe resort, which we're also going to get into. That's kind of a rule of thumb that I actually think is pretty easy to break. But do you guys go down the slides? Do your kids go down the slides?
Absolutely. Slide on repeat when we go to
Yeah.
the pools.
Yeah, that's our family too. My kids are constantly going down the slides or playing in the splash pads. They're all over it.
Yeah, and Disney does a great job. We talked about this on our rest day itinerary episode. If you haven't heard that one, we talked a lot about this, but they do a great job making sure that you can take a pool day and it can be a really fun, worthwhile vacation day. So there's always going to be pool games and music. There's usually like character bingo or trivia of some kind. I mentioned recently about the Mr. Potato Head game that my kids were playing. They had like really unique Disney themed potato head pieces that they were diving in after and had to quickly build, and just all kinds of fun things like that. And we've done a million Disney resort pool days at this point, and I have seen new games every single trip. Like they're constantly doing new, different, unique things that are just so much fun.
Yeah, they'll always have the classics like Name That Tune, and they'll pull out boards and have like not like a traditional board game, but like have a board of things that are happening on the board and interacting, and kids are just shouting answers from the pool.
So fun.
Again, shouting out to those lifeguards because they're not just lifeguarding, they'll bring out extra lifeguards to run these awesome games for kids.
I get really into the games with my kids. That's one thing they can totally count on me for at the pool. Like I'm a fun time at the pool. If it's slide or trivia, like I'm shouting the answer like maybe over the kids sometimes.
Well, Allie, you're small enough that they're probably like, this teenage little girl needs her mom to come and intervene. She's knocking over the kids while she's trying to get to the answer.
I'm like giving the answer out of the corner of my mouth, like I'm like, it's Flynn Rider. Yeah, it's so fun though. And all of the pools are going to have that. But I think a lot of families are looking for different things in pools, which is why I'm excited to grade the pools today. And I'll explain here in a bit how we've broken down and given the grades for the pools. There's a resort for every family. There's something about every resort to love that truly makes it the best. I could probably say a reason why every single Disney resort is the best and mean it. And I kind of feel that way about the pools too. The themes and the layouts and the activities, it's so fun. It's another Disney bubble plus.
It really is. And it's something that really challenged me because I'm going to have that vulnerable moment and say I'm a plus size mama, and getting myself in a swimsuit isn't always something that I feel super comfortable with. However, I spent the first 10 years of momhood not wearing shorts because I was self-conscious about my legs, not going to the swimming pool and sitting by the side because I was too nervous about what somebody's going to think about what I look like in a swimsuit. Stop worrying about that for yourself. Get yourself at the pool with your kids, put on the swimsuit
Yes.
and just get over it, because everybody else is thinking the same thing about themselves and they don't care what you look like. Like, get yourself to the pool and make the memories with your kids.
I love that you said that. Every body is a summer body. Like that is my MO. We are just not the family that is, we are all in the bathing suit. We are all in the picture. You know, I have some mom friends that we're constantly talking and I'm like, get in the picture with your kiddo, you know, and don't comment on how you look once the picture is taken because they're listening and you're beautiful to that. You know, your mom is
That's so
beautiful.
true. Yeah, I love that.
Thank you for saying that, Allie, because that was something that I needed to hear as an early mom. Your kids are going to emulate what they hear that you say about yourself. Do you want your kids to say those things about themselves? Absolutely not. So don't say those things about yourself. Don't grade your body. Don't do those things to yourself.
Get in your swimsuit, stand next to your kiddo, take a picture, look at it together and say, look how beautiful we are.
Yes.
Like, that's Disney magic right there. Like I can't even, yeah, Disney pools are for everybody and everybody is a summer body. And that's, you know what is the thing too with Disney is it is Florida. So we're saying summer, but you know, the pools are open year round.
They are. We have hit the pools in February before.
Yeah.
My very favorite time to go to any of the pools, because the pools tend to be a little bit quieter during those winter months, but they're open and heated.
Well, and it goes back to Becky, you saying you would swim all day long and me saying I was in that Coronado pool forever and ever. You know, kids will swim if there's ice cubes floating by them. They do not care. They're going to jump in, like they do not care. And I'm going to be in a, you know, coat and a blanket in the pool chair. And that's not as fun for me, but you know, I'll do it for them. They will swim year round and the pools are heated. So if Disney World, if in Florida, it drops below a certain degree outside, the pool heaters are then on. And so the pools are always consistent in temperature and they're swimmable year round. But I will say the cooler months like January to spring, you will usually see pool closures. And so they usually every year it's about 2 to 3. We actually were all staying at Saratoga Springs, which somehow we always end up at Saratoga Springs. We stayed there together, I think 3 times now. And one of the times we were there, it was in January and that pool was closed. That's just the pool closure time of the year. So you really want to make sure that if you're traveling in those months, you ask your Smart Moms agent about your pool because next year is a huge deal. Oh my gosh, it's the biggest deal. First of all Star Movies, the Fantasia pool, which is the main pool there, is going to be closed it's slated January to April of 2025, but with Disney, you just never know. Things can change. Things can always change. But the big deal is that Stormalong Bay at the Yacht and Beach Club, which we're definitely going to talk as we grade, is closing in 2025 from January to June.
It's a long closure, but it's a really big pool.
Half of the year that pool is going to be closed. And so for your family, if Yacht and Beach Club is a dream resort and you're planning on staying there the first half of next year, that's going to be a big thing to really reconsider because you got to know about those closures.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to grade these pools. Anything else you all want to say before we take a break and start our report card?
I'm ready to dive in. Let's go.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. It's grading time. It's grading period.
Are you a dedicated fan of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast and feel the need to take notes while listening to each and every episode? Our Diamond Mine Patreon subscription is a perfect fit for you. Every month, our Diamond Mine subscribers receive a new Disney travel guide that simplifies and organizes the podcast content. Join our community at patreon.com and search for Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Joining our Patreon supports our woman-owned small businesses and allows you more simplicity and support in planning your next Disney vacation. Join us at patreon.com and we'll see you there.
All right, everyone, we are back and we're going to break down every pool. If you have a trip planned, you will hear your resort pool discussed right now. I hope we give it the grade you're expecting. And if you don't already have a trip booked, then maybe this conversation about the different pools and opportunities that the pools present will help you decide where you want to stay on your vacation. So we're going to go in alphabetical order here. Here's the way it's going to go. We're going to be grading on 5 different areas. And Beck, why don't you explain to the listeners how we have decided which areas in which they will be marked?
All right. So toddler approved. So many people are bringing their toddlers to Disney and thinking, I'm just going to throw a life jacket on my kid and send them to the pool. There is so much more to Disney pools for toddlers than just putting on a life jacket and getting in the pool. so many water features, splash pads, playgrounds for toddlers. So we're going to call that category Jack Jack approved. We know Jack Jack from The Incredibles. He's so cute and so ambitious, like running around everywhere. So Jack Jack approved. Next is the calm and relaxing version. How calm and relaxing is a pool? What do we want to do next to a calm pool? We want to sleep next to a calm pool. So nothing better to call that than the Sleeping Beauty approved pools. Next is the zero entry. Do you all know how much I love Ariel?
You love Ariel.
Yes. We just had this Taylor Swift Ariel crossover conversation, Becky.
Oh my gosh, but Daddy, I love him. Can we just admire that for a minute?
Swifty moment. I already bought a t-shirt, Disney Swifty crossover tee.
But Daddy, I love him. Okay. I grew up in that early 90s, late 80s era. Anytime I was at the side of the pool, I was pushing myself up on the side of the pool, like part of your world-esque. Also, walking out of a zero entry meaning it starts at nothing and then just gradually gets into it, kind of like the ocean would be, right? And so for zero entry, we're leaning into that beautiful scene of Ariel walking out of the water in her sparkly dress to call it Ariel approved.
Wait a minute. That's why it's Ariel approved, because this whole time I thought we were calling it Ariel approved because Ariel has fins, and so she can't walk into a pool. And so in my mind, she's like, in my mind, she's like in her fins, like sitting on the edge, like like waddling down the slope.
She's like dead fishing it into the water. Is that your thing?
Oh my god.
That's why it was Ariel. Like she doesn't have legs, so she's like butt scooting.
No.
Well,
I guess there's no wrong answer.
This whole time we've been building our report card, I'm like envisioning Ariel and her fins just like scooting in.
Well, we're going to be a yes and podcast. So for the floppy fish getting into the water, but also for Ariel getting out in her sparkly dress, we're going to call that zero entry Ariel approved. Oh my gosh, Allie, I love that. Okay.
It's hysterical.
For elbow room, what does elbow room mean in a pool? There are some pools that you're going to get into that are very small, but also it could be that they're very crowded and you just don't have a lot of elbow room to swim around. You're going to have people close nearby. And so because she has 8 elbows, do we have elbows for an octopus? I'm not quite sure if they actually have elbows, but because she needs room for all 8 legs.
If she did, she'd have 8.
She did. We're going to call elbow room or space to swim the Ursula approved pools. And then finally, pools that are just kind of those above and beyond. They have special touches that you're not going to get at every other pool. Who makes the special touches happen at Disney? If you've seen Happily Ever After, we have a fondness for it, and that is Tinkerbell. So Tinkerbell approved are those pools that have those extra special touches, a little extra Disney magic added to that pool area.
That's right. So we've got toddler, Jack Jack approved, calm and relaxing, Sleeping Beauty approved, zero entry, Ariel approved, elbow room, Ursula approved, and special touch, Tinkerbell approved. If a pool gets a mark in every area, that will be an A+ pool. If it only gets 4 out of 5 marks, that will be an A. 3 marks will make it a B. 2 marks will make it a C, and 1 mark would make it a D level pool.
That feels so harsh though, because is there really any bad pools at Disney?
It's all in comparison though, right? Nothing like that.
Yeah, so we're talking comparing the best of the best to the worst of the worst and worst of the worst in air quotes, because Disney knows how to have fun at pools.
Yeah, for sure. There's nothing, you can't have a bad choice, but you may make a choice that's lacking something. And that doesn't necessarily make it bad, but we should let you know that it may be lacking that, and it might mean something to you. All right, we're going to go in alphabetical order. So that's going to have us starting at the first 3 pools. And we'll talk about each of them individually, are going to be at the value tier All-Star Resort pools. The first one being All-Star Movies. The feature pool, and we say feature pool because a lot of the resorts have their main or feature pool, but then they also have several other quiet pools or locations kind of based on theming and how large the resort is. And so at All-Star Movies, you're going to have different movie themed pools actually around the resort, but the feature pool is the Fantasia pool, and it's a big, large swimming area with Fantasia Mickey, spouting water right there over the swim area, which is very cute. So The first category is going to be that Jack Jack approved. What do y'all think? Toddlers love All-Star movie Fantasia?
I think if nothing else, the larger than life Disney everything around that pool, seeing Mickey throwing the water into the pool, Sorcerer Mickey, like splash pad, all of those things are just amazing for toddlers.
Yeah, my kids really love it. So right beside the Fantasia pool, they also have a toddler pool, like a kiddie pool and a little splash pad. And my kids love to play in both the big pool and the little pool. And we would just run back and forth for hours playing there. There's a button on the wall at the kiddie pool for them to like start the sprayers. And so they would all like run over to the wall and push the button to start the sprayers. Like they thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it's so if you see Mickey, that boom, you get a mark for toddler because that's why you're there. You're at Mickey's house. Yeah, definitely gets a mark there. Sleeping Beauty approved. I think in general, and I hate to generalize, it's just not something I do in life. But I think it's fair here to say that the value resorts as a whole tend to sometimes be noisier. You just have a lot more families and a lot more young kids. They're massive resorts with so many rooms, so many buildings, and so many people. So because of the noise and the bright colors and the in your face, I personally don't see this as a Sleeping Beauty approved.
Yeah, you think you're not taking a nap by that pool?
I mean, I guess like my dad probably still could. He's a picky sleeper, so maybe not him. I guess maybe I still could because I can kind of sleep anywhere. But in general,
You do sleep anywhere. You
yeah.
do.
Yeah, we have the photos to prove that. I fell asleep in Connections Cafe once. So,
Oh my gosh. You guys,
yeah.
we were on a bus one time going from our resort to the parks, and Allie's sitting next to me, and the next thing I know, she's just like dead asleep. Like we're all taking selfies with her asleep on the bus.
I feel like if you've ever been to Disney with me, you have that selfie. So, Sleeping Beauty approved, not so much. Zero entry. This is interesting.
Where it's a value pool or a value resort and so many little kids, you would think that these would be zero entry pools, but they're not. They are stairs to get into the
Yeah.
pools.
Yeah, no zero entry here. So that's I think that's pretty interesting. Although as a rule of thumb and a generalization as well, as we move into Ursula approved for space and elbow room, these are big pools. The Fantasia pool is quite large. It doesn't have like a quirky cut to it, it's a big open space.
Mhm.
Yeah, Disney definitely hit the nail on the head with this one. They know lots of people. And so these resort style pools at the All-Star are so just vastly open. You're going to have plenty of room to swim around.
Yeah, so we're going to give it good marks there. Now with Tinkerbell, what do you guys think? Because the buttons for the sprayer, the kiddie pool in general, I mean, a lot of these resorts do not have kiddie pools. That's not a normal thing for a Disney pool. You can't just show up at your resort and know that there's going to be that because that is very much not the case. Interactive buttons for sprayers, really cool. No slide, no big splash pad, but still some cool features that are unique.
I need to know, Katie, are these buttons like buttons that are intended for kids to push, or is it more like you go and turn the timer to turn the
timer button, but the kids all take turns pushing it.
They're making their own magic from
They are. Yeah.
from the timer button.
Okay, here's a better question. Does All-Star Music or All-Star Sports have a similar feature?
I don't think they do.
So this one, if all three of these pools are pretty similar and this one has something that's just setting it a little bit above the rest, then I think it deserves an extra mark.
I'm fine with that. And if I was choosing, yeah, I think that Mickey pool is pretty awesome for an all-star resort.
Yeah, I feel like it gets magic points just for the Mickey factor of it all.
Yeah, so 3 marks here. That's going to give the All-Star Movies Fantasia pool a B.
All right.
All right, so that moves us right on into All-Star Music. The Calypso pool is the main pool there.
You know, you're going to make a comment about the 3 Caballeros here, right?
Yeah.
It's totally
Do you
coming.
cry, Becky, when you arrive at the All-Star Music pool? Are you like just immediately brought to tears?
I cry from laughing at just how dorky I can be sometimes. Yeah, but the Calypso pool, I do love Donald. Donald is near and dear to my heart. The 3 Caballeros are in the middle, and it's a guitar-shaped pool. Super cute.
It's a guitar-shaped pool, but the kiddie pool is like the top portion of the guitar, where like the tuning, what are they called? I don't actually know. The little tuning screws are. That's like the kiddie pool section up there at the top.
Yeah, really fun, really clever. A+ for creativity. Jack approved. Toddlers obviously are going to love this pool. The shape, the colors, same as All-Star Movies. Recognizable Disney characters. If you have already been to Epcot and ridden the Three Caballeros over in the Mexico Pavilion, then it's even more recognizable. Not quite to the level of Mickey, but still super fun. Definitely Jack approved. Sleeping Beauty, we're going to come into those same type issues with the relaxation. It's just not, you're not getting like escape away resort vibes here.
Yeah. It's a value resort. There's going to be a lot of kids.
Yeah. What about is Ariel boot scooting down the All-Star Music?
Not so much. Not
Yeah.
so
Nope, that's another stair one.
No, yeah, it's another stair pool and it is huge. The guitar allows for lots of space and little divots and plenty of room to really explore and have your own area. I wouldn't worry about like wall-to-wall people just because it could be crowded or noisy. So definitely Ursula approved here. And what about features, special Tinkerbell approved features? I just think it's sort of just a pool, a fun pool,
Yeah.
a colorful pool, an Imagineering shaped pool, but not the finest Disney has to offer.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, okay, that's going to give All-Star Music a C. All right.
Great.
And then we're going to close out All-Star Resorts. Katie, why don't you talk us through this guy?
Sure. So All Star Sports has two pools. It has the feature pool is the Surfboard Bay pool, which is, I mean, it's not an irregular shaped pool. It's not like a straight square or anything, but there's like curve to it. And there are, in that area of the resort, you're in the surf area of the resort. So there's like 3-story tall surfboards all surrounding you to give you this really beachy kind of vibe. I don't think there are any sprayers or anything in like the main part of the pool, which is ironic because the secondary pool, which is it's like a baseball diamond one, and you have Goofy in the center, and Goofy has a sprayer. But I don't believe that the surfboard pool had any sprayers or anything. So I'll be honest, whenever we stayed at All Star Sports, we didn't spend a lot of time in the pool because it was just kind of
I think in terms of pools at Disney World, this is sort of just standard, not beyond.
Yeah, it's not above and beyond in my opinion.
I could see it being a good place for like if you were coming with a travel ball team, like being in that baseball sports world, having a really good time just being in that sports world at All-Star Sports, but it's really just a pool.
Yeah.
So we have Jack approved, yes. Sleeping Beauty, no. Ariel, no. Ursula, yes. Tinkerbell, no. Overall grade there.
A C.
I almost feel like it needs to be a C- because I feel like there could be more Disney theming, but we'll go with a C. I think that music has one step up from sports pool.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. But our toddlers will like it, so it's fine. I don't have any more toddlers, but somebody else's toddlers will like it. Okay. Becky, you take this next one. I'm excited to talk about this one.
Well, Animal Kingdom Lodge, if you don't know, is essentially 2 resorts in one. So there is Jambo House and Kidani. And both of them have their own feature pools, which is really, really cool. So there's going to be DVC rooms and regular rooms that you can rent as a Disney resort guest. And so we have 2 pools around these. We have do we say it Uzima? Or how do you think you say that pool?
I feel like that's correct, Uzima.
I'm not stepping into that. I don't know.
And that is at the Jambo House area, which is right next to some pretty remarkable dining. And then we have Samawat Springs Pool.
I
Again,
think it's
Samawati Springs Pool that is over at Kidani. Both have really, really great features in terms of we're at a deluxe resort. So of course it's going to have some phenomenal things. Really, really great place to relax because the Animal Kingdom Lodge just has this calming feature with the animals just outside. So I'm definitely going to say a yes on the Sleeping Beauty here. There is 0 entry available, so we definitely have the boot scoot and Ariel down the 0 entry going on.
At both. It's 0 entry at both of these feature pools. And it's important to note as well, it doesn't matter where on Animal Kingdom Lodge property you are staying, you can use both pools, which to be a Disney guest and have 2 feature pools that you have access to is extremely rare and extremely amazing.
It really, really is. And they're both good size pools. Like this is a really, really awesome opportunity if you are looking for options with pools because you have two really solid options here. What's your guys' thoughts on the Jack Jack at Animal Kingdom Lodge?
It's 100% absolutely. So we are big Animal Kingdom Lodge people. We've stayed there a lot. And no, there are no animals near the pool. There are no animals drinking from the pool. The savannas are very separate from the feature pools. And actually, I think some people would kind of assume that the pool at Jambo House would be like the bigger pool just because Jambo is the grander of the two buildings. That's the one where you walk in, it's the massive, high, humongous lobby.
Yeah.
And Kidani is gorgeous when you walk in as well, but it doesn't have that jaw drop factor that Jambo House does have. However, we typically are in Kidani Village, and actually, Katie and I are checking into Kidani Village together as we're recording this a week from today, as we record this, which is great. We love it there. However, the pool at Kidani is actually the one I prefer. And something that's really, really unique about it is it has that deluxe level slide that you would expect. It's big, it's high up, it twists around, it goes really, really fast, which here's a little pro tip for anybody that loves slides as much as I do. If you go down a water slide, like in a subtle pike position and like take your hand and push them in a dive position forward, you will zoom so fast down the slide. It is foolproof. It will absolutely work. It's so fun. But the Kidani slide also has a toddler size slide, a smaller slide that just goes straight into the water that your kids can just run around and use. So fun.
I will say, as a person who doesn't usually I'm the mom at the bottom of the slide catching my kids continuously. I'm not usually riding it myself, but I love whenever they offer a kiddie water slide that I can just sort of hang out in the shallow area of the pool and watch them. That's way better in my opinion. So I love that.
Yeah, and the Jambo House pool, the other feature pool at the bigger main area, has a water slide, but I don't think it's as good as the Kidani one. I think Kidani has the better slide for sure. It's a little smaller, a little less exciting in my opinion. And I just think overall the layout and vibe at the Kidani pool is a little bit more fun. We have more fun at that pool. Although the pool games, we had so much fun. My kids were doing some water bucket filling game. It was a great memory there. But I remember at Kidani, the lifeguard got to know all the kids one day and he dared them to some sort of activity. And if they did it, he said when he was off his shift, he would go down the water slide in his clothes. And the kids won and they all stood on the side cheering him by name. And he went down. I mean, it was so fun.
That is hilarious. I love that. I was going to say too, from the Jack Jack approved angle, they have a really great water play area there as well. They have the spraying cannons and everything and the crawl through crates, and it's a really fun little place for kids to play.
Oh,
yeah. So I want to save that conversation a little bit as we get to Tinkerbell. So we're definitely Jack Jack approved.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Definitely Sleeping Beauty approved. I mean, these are really whimsical pools, I would say. Very leisure, very, the pool bars are right there and relaxing and pretty. And I just think it's super relaxing place to be. You feel like you're on vacation.
absolutely.
Definitely zero entry to both feature pools. Plenty of room. The Kidani pool is on the smaller side, I would say, but still plenty of room. You don't feel crowded in it because it's also less people usually at Kidani. So I think Ursula gets marks here. Now, as far as Tinkerbell, Katie, you were just starting to mention the spray area at the Kidani pool. I think it's a really unique spray area. It's not like one of the big splash pads that you find at some of the other resorts, and it has some different components going for it, which I think gives it some special marks, plus that extra water slide for toddlers.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. So they have the water play area broken down into age appropriate groups, maybe 4-year-olds would like this area and kids 8 and up would like this area better. It's just a great place to go play. My kids love it.
Yeah.
I love having both of those big kid slides and little kid slides. I think even as we're talking through these slides, kind of defining what a big kid slide would be landing in a pool compared to a little kid slide, just kind of sliding out and no need to be caught kind of idea.
Right. But the little kid slide at Kidani does go into the pool. So that's important to note too. So it feels big for a little one. My 1-year-olds were, just able to sit up and they, we were at the bottom, obviously, but they loved it. They just ran around and ran around. It's so fun. It's great. It's an A+ pool. Look at how much time and energy we're giving it. And you can just hear it in our voices. This is an A+ pool.
Yeah, and I don't think it's one that people talk about enough.
Yeah. If your trip is resort focused, Animal Kingdom Lodge should not be overlooked. Sometimes it gets the shaft because it's hard to get to the parks from Animal Kingdom Lodge, but it's bus only. I mean, it's still complimentary and the buses come a lot, but as a resort, you get tired of swimming and you want to go look at animals, you could go see a giraffe. It's amazing. It's incredible. This is an A+
Yeah.
pool. All right, that takes us to Art of Animation. And Katie, I think you should take this because you are just there.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we love Art of Animation for all the pools, and I think we started to talk a little bit that there are 3 pools at Art of Animation. So there's the Little Mermaid pool, there's the Cozy Cone pool, which is in the Cars themed area, but the feature pool is in the Nemo area, and that is the Big Blue pool. So you are just completely immersed at Art of Animation in the theming, right? Like it is over the top Disney theming that feels like you just got dropped into your favorite film. But the pools they very much embrace that immersive feeling around them too. Art of Animation, the Big Blue pool is actually the biggest pool on Disney property. I know there's probably another one on the list that you're thinking, it has to be that one. It's not. Factually, the largest pool on Disney property is the Big Blue pool. It's a large pool that it does have a 0 entry to it, so it gets points there. One side has like the stairs, and then the other side has the 0 entry, and it sort of varies in depth. So you can get in some parts of the pool where it gets up to 4 feet 11 inches, so like right under 5 feet. But most of the pool is in that like 3 foot, 4 foot kind of range. And my kids just, man, we were constantly going back and forth between the pool and then heading over towards the back of the pool is where they have that like spray area. So it has Marlin and Nemo in their anemone home. And then all of Nemo's school friends are positioned around the anemone and they're like squirters and they're splashing you and everything. Gosh, Tally just ran all over that area. She basically did laps running around the anemone and like just touching every sprayer, and it was a great time. We loved it.
If you all could see Katie's face, like you're gonna sign up just watching the grin on her face for this. And I have to say, Laker, we moved to Florida from Utah when Laker was in 4th grade. So like that 8, 9-year-old phase. Our first thing we did when we moved to Florida was buy annual passes to Disney World. And when we got our annual passes, we went and explored and we stayed at the Pop Century our very first time and our very first night. And Laker looked across and he said, Mom, for my birthday, I want to go stay at Art of Animation. He wants to go stay at that resort because he saw the Nemo area, the Cars area. Like, it's not just for littles. Jack Jack approved, highly yes. But even like those middle, high, elementary kids, they also love it.
Yeah.
This resort is incredible. We were there. I was there with my son, just kind of walking around, and I was taking this picture in the Cars area, and he was just like jumping. He was like, "This is amazing! It's unbelievable!" I mean, he just was elated. The theming itself, yeah, this is this is a great pool. I have one issue though. It's definitely Jack Jack approved. Sleeping Beauty, the Big Blue pool, like Katie said, is the biggest. So I don't necessarily know that that is a super relaxing pool. However, the Cars pool isn't the feature pool, but it's almost, I mean, it's like really well themed. It's not like any of these value resorts have a slide. A lot of the deluxe resorts, when they have their quiet pools and then the feature pools, the quiet pools don't have theming and they don't have slides and they don't have hot tubs, things like that.
Mm.
But at these value resorts, you don't have those things anyway. So to have a quote unquote quiet pool that has a hugely heavy theming, you're not missing the slide either way. Like it's almost like it's another feature pool, but it's way quieter. And a really, really cool thing about it is that there are these massive cones that look, like traffic cones, and they're actually cabanas. And at deluxe resorts, you have to reserve cabanas 60 days in advance. They're really hard to secure. Your Smart Moms travel agent can get them for you, but they're hard to get. Whereas the Cozy Cone cabanas at the Cars pool at Art of Animation, they're just first come, first serve, no reservation.
And we've gone and swam at the Cars pool probably 3 different trips, and we have always been able to get one of the Cozy Cone cabanas.
Yeah, it's quiet, it's relaxing. And so I think even though the Big Blue Pool might not be Sleeping Beauty approved, I think it's fair to say that this gets a mark there because it has a resort pool with first come, first served cabanas.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Ariel approved, 0 entry.
Mhm.
Katie already said.
Cool. Yep.
Yep. Elbow Room, it's the biggest pool on property, obviously already said. I have one issue with Tinkerbell here though.
Okay.
I just don't know if I can give a Disney World pool an A+ that doesn't have hot tubs and a water slide. It feels like such a Disney staple to me. Like it just feels so important to me that it's like, can it really be an A+ when there are pools that have these things on property and this one doesn't?
Allie, Cozy Cone Cabanas. Cozy Cone Cabanas.
Like, where am I gonna zoom down in a pike position? Like, I can't sit there in my cabana just like.
But where are you going to get a cabana without paying for a cabana anywhere else on Disney property?
I mean,
And I'm also going to add, again, back to the Becky is obsessed with Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid pool, you are in the Little Mermaid. Like there are massive Ursula, King Triton, Sebastian, like there's all of these areas. And I love the Little Mermaid pool because it's actually deep enough to literally swim. You can get your feet off the ground and not just bob there as a mom watching your kids. Like legit swimming happening in the Little Mermaid pool.
I guess it's really like a special feature, Tinkerbell feature, that there are essentially more than one feature pool. We always talk about how the rooms at Art of Animation, like the rooms at Pop Century and the All-Star Resorts, the other values are all the same inside, no matter what. Art of Animation is full theming throughout. It's immersion from rooms to resort grounds to pools. So
Yeah.
I guess that's a fair point as well. Okay. All right.
It has to get the Tinkerbell seal of approval. It
All
has
right,
to.
fine. It can, but as long as people know it doesn't have a slide or a hot tub and you're going to be cold and you're going to have less fun.
Oh, not true.
To be cold, you're in Florida. When have you ever been cold in Florida?
Me every time.
Allie's sitting by the side of the pool in her hoodie.
I sound like a really good time. Okay. Yacht and Beach Club, Stormalong Bay. Is this the best pool on property?
That's a great question. Let's talk about it.
So Stormalong Bay is definitely the most unique pool on property. This is at the Yacht and Beach Club, and this is where we just did my family's spring break trip. And this is where I stayed for 50% of my trips growing up with my family. I have a lot of experience at this resort and in this pool. Jack Jack approved, I think maybe more than any other pool on Disney property. Jack Jack toddler approved. So there is first of all, when Katie was teasing that there's another pool you may think is the biggest, I believe she was probably thinking of this pool. It is segmented in so many different areas, right? And each area is designated for a specific thing. So all the way on the side is what I would consider like a kiddie pool. It is a sand bottom pool at the Yacht and Beach Club. So it feels like you're like in the ocean. It's sand bottom, so cool. And in the kiddie area, there is a sand mound in the middle. So it's not only a sand bottom, but it really builds up out of the water and into like a giant beachy area. And from the side of that area, it is like a 0 entry from the sand, which is really unique because it starts as sand, it goes into the pool, 0 entry in that way. It's obviously the only pool on property that does that. When I tell you my kids played in that sand, they met friends and built sand castles for hours, 5 days straight. I mean, like the best spouse time that my wife and I got, just watching them play. When I told them we were going to go do something else at the pool, they would be like, no, I'm with my friends. They're counting on me. We're building this castle, and it was just the coolest ever. You can buy sand toys in the gift shop or bring your own. It's incredible. The best toddler area you could possibly ask for, and older. My oldest is 9 years old. She loved it. So it's like toddler through childhood.
There's actually 2 kiddie pools at Stormalong Bay because there's that one where the sand is and the sand castles are. There's another one, and this is probably a point to, I don't know where we could take a point away for it, but you either walk across or walkway to the other kiddie pool, which is where the giant mast slide is. they have underneath the mast slide, there's a little kiddie pool there. And that's where we hung out most of the time. I was hanging out in the shallow area of the kiddie pool while my little ones were just going back and back and back on that kiddie slide. Like they thought it was great.
Yeah, so definitely Jack Jack approved. I mean, beyond unbelievable. Relaxing. I cannot stress how many different areas there are to sit in this pool, but not only around the pool, but there are elevated like deck areas. There are massive upper level decks that overlook not only the pool, but also the boardwalk and parts of Epcot. I mean, that's how close you are in proximity. There are loungers, sunspots, shade spots, a pool table. You know, you can play a game of pool up there. There's fans. I mean, it does not get more relaxing than that. There are also cabanas. Now, these are the cabanas that you do have to reserve. They do cost money, but if you get one, man, you've got a TV, a couch, a fridge, a concierge, just like cast member that's helping you. Unbelievable. Perfectly, like absolutely Sleeping Beauty approved. No questions asked. I already mentioned the zero entry, being in that sand area. So unique, so amazing. Elbow room. I want to talk a little bit more about how this pool is segmented. So you have the sand area. Then you have a lazy river. There is a lazy river in this pool, and it is a great lazy river. It's small. It just kind of goes like in a circle.
I have to say something about the lazy river, and you're not gonna like it.
Don't you dog on this.
I'm dogging on the lazy river because can I tell you something really embarrassing that happened to me?
God.
Right after Allie was there with her family, my family was there the next week. I was not reading all of the signs everywhere that say, like, this is a very deep pool. I was just like, oh, it's a lazy river. We'll get in. My kids have their life jackets on. I'll get a tube. No big deal. You get into most lazy rivers expecting them to be like, what, 4 feet, 5 feet? That lazy river is 8 feet deep. Why does it have to be 8 feet deep? Yeah.
It's hilarious because it does get really deep. And I like my son wants to take his life vest off all the time. And I'm like, you cannot take it off. And it was trying to keep him on the inner tube and his, I mean, yeah, it's hilarious.
It was very embarrassing for me because I stepped in expecting it to be 4 feet and like went way under. And then I got back up and I'm like, don't get in the pool. Don't get in the pool, kids.
So there's a lazy river segment between the sand and the lazy river. There's a hot tub. Now that hot tub is not my favorite hot tub. It's surrounded by the sand. It's really kind of very busy. You've got a lot of kids in that hot tub because it's right by the sand area. So not my favorite hot tub, but it is there. Then you have the main kind of pool area. There's just like an area to swim. And then it narrows into the volleyball area, volleyball net, and there's constantly games going on. And that's also where the pool games will be that the cast members host is right there. There's like a little ledge and a set of stairs for the kids to sit on. And so you keep on moving and then you kind of have the slide bay, like where the slide comes into. And the slide, this is kind of a downfall. It's not a huge deal, but you do, like Katie mentioned, have to leave the main resort pool area, walk across the walkway where you will encounter people that are like just in normal clothes walking to the parks and you're like dripping wet. Like you are walking across the pedestrian area to get to the slide area, but you have to do that because it's the biggest slide on property. This is the coolest slide. It starts with a straightaway in a tunnel. So cool. And then it just goes round and round, super fast. There's waterfalls and sprayers, and I mean, my gosh, what a fun pool. And 2 miniature slides behind it for little kids. So just the best.
It really is the best. Our family spent so much time at this pool, hours and hours and hours with teenagers. And even my teenagers went and built sandcastles. My teenagers wanted to hang out in the really deep but fun only lazy river on Disney property outside of the water parks. The best, this pool brought up a conversation of like, do you have to earn the right to be a lifeguard at the beach club and yacht club pool? Because they are amazing. We were in the lazy river going around and around, and every time we would come around, the lifeguard got to know Laker's name and was like, all right, Laker, rock, paper, scissors. And as we were floating by, they were playing rock, paper, scissors every time we passed this lifeguard. And then over at the bottom of the slide, that pool that they land in, there's a whirlpool, but that's not like a spa. It's like a section of the pool that you can like pick your feet up and it just takes you in circles. And our kids wanted to hang out in that pool with the 5 of us. We had it to ourselves. I don't think a lot of people know about it.
They're like hidden cove.
The 5 of us sat in this whirlpool and played 20 questions for probably an hour and a half, just the 5 of us. Where are you getting that kind of time with your teenagers?
Unbelievable.
I love
Yeah. And then the last little area that we didn't mention, there are 2 more hot tubs in addition to the one I avoid, but they're like up, you go kind of leave the pool from the swimming area and you go upstairs. So they're kind of elevated in this rock structure area and they're next to each other, but you can't see them. They're divided by rocks. And one you can enjoy with your family, but one is adult only. And that is very cool to have an adult only hot tub is really unique and special. I don't think any other resorts have that. And so it's a really cool feature. And of course, you can get Mickey sink or a mini sink from Beaches and Cream and eat it poolside, which is also just a Tinkerbell approved feature. This is the perfect pool. There are no complaints. This is an incredible place to be. So, I mean, marks in everywhere, in every area.
Absolutely.
All right, then. Becky, why don't you take the conversation here on Boardwalk?
The boardwalk happens to have my very favorite slide. So if you love the Mickey theming that is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, it kind of carries over into the boardwalk pool. Did you guys ever swim there when the creepy clown was there?
Oh God, yes. A million times. This is the other resort that say that a lot.
that clown. Yeah, nightmare.
That was nightmare worthy for me. So I am so incredibly glad that Disney changed the theming of the boardwalk in Villa's pool. It's called Luna Park. It is super fun, but the conversation here is going to be interesting because while I absolutely love the slide, there is a hot tub, there is all of those deluxe features that you're going to have. Jack Jack is not as much of an obvious thing for me. I mean, when we're coming from talking about the beach club, it's not as strong for me at the boardwalk. Your guys' thoughts on the Jack Jack?
Yeah, no splash pad, no special features. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fun and colorful, and the slide being Mickey and Minnie themed is amazing, but it doesn't jump out at me. I mean, my toddlers had fun there. I've
Yeah.
taken my toddlers there, and they're gonna have fun anywhere. But in comparison to some of the features that other pools have to impress your toddlers, I don't know that Boardwalk has it.
I feel that as well. They're going to recognize Mickey and Minnie. They're going to recognize the characters, but not like larger than life characters like you would get at the value resorts. And so while I love it, I don't know if I'm going to give it the Jack Jack approval.
Yeah, and I love this pool, so it kind of breaks my heart, but I've always been torn on it because it is relaxing. Gets that for sure. And this is a resort that also has multiple quiet pools. They're kind of in the garden area of the resort. The garden view rooms kind of surround those quiet pools that have no extra theming. And for any Smart Moms travel agents listening today, the Hidden Mickey will be garden. But the main pool doesn't have a whole lot of extra that separate it from some of the other things going on. The slide itself, unbelievable. Like, I think it almost gets a Tinkerbell approval because of the slide being so great.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best slides on property for sure. But I gotta tell you, not having a zero entry, I have one of my hardest Disney memories at the boardwalk. When my babies, my twins, were 18 months old, we took a really early morning flight to Disney World. I think we were on like a 5 a.m., and so we got to Disney really early. Our room was not ready, and I was exhausted. And my kids didn't want to nap, and they wanted to swim. And I can remember getting in that pool, and they were still a little bit on the small side to like wear a life vest and just float. And so we had to hold them, and there were 2 of them. And so that meant that we both had to be in there holding them. And I just remember holding my daughter on the steps at the boardwalk pool and like shaking. I was so tired, and there was no zero entry for her to splash in. There was no splash pad to take her to. There was no toddler pool there. This was it. It was me in the pool holding her exhausted. And I remember in that moment thinking, what is going on with this pool? This is a beautiful deluxe resort, and it just doesn't have these things I need. And it's like the most tired I've ever been.
I think if your kids are a little bit older than that and can do the floating around, it's a really good size pool. And like I'm not going to downplay how awesome the slide is. The slide is so fast, so fun. So I agree on that. But if you're here with toddlers, you might want to more focus on the boardwalk. The boardwalk, you can have so much fun with your toddlers out on the boardwalk.
Yeah, and if they can float in a life vest, that's great. There's lots of room. It's got the Ursula seal of approval, but I think overall it gets 3 marks, and I think it's a B.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to say too, before we move on from the Tinkerbell section, that every resort on Disney property has a pool bar. But I think that the Boardwalks is probably my favorite because it's so pretty and it looks like a carousel.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that's probably my favorite pool bar.
Yeah, it's really good. And the line is usually moving pretty quickly, and they have bites for your kids that like are kid friendly that they'll really enjoy. Yeah, the Luna Park, it's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. That, Katie, is going to be you talking about our next pool.
Okay, that takes us to Caribbean Beach Resort, and Caribbean Beach might be the resort on property with the most pools. There's a pool in every different section of the resort, like tons of leisure pools. But the feature pool is the Fuentes del Moro pool, which looks like a Spanish fort. Is that how you would describe it? It has this sort of piratey throwback kind of feel to it. It has these cannon sprayers and the slide. It might be one of the best pools just because it has this immersive theming that is unlike any other. It's super unique with that kind of piratey, adventurous feel, right? What do you guys think?
I think that the playground, the water playground there is among one of the best water playgrounds. It has a big water bucket that's going to dump on the kids, multiple slides coming off of it, plus multiple slides into the main pool, like 2 different versions. Laker absolutely ate up both of those slides, had so much fun. The pool is massive. And when we stayed at Caribbean Beach for the first time, Caribbean or Caribbean for you guys?
I was about to say, I say Caribbean.
I say Caribbean. I say Caribbean Beach. Do I
Yeah,
say Caribbean Beach? Or maybe I say Caribbean. Caribbean's the movie. I don't know. Anyway, the first time we stayed,
That's funny because it is the Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's Caribbean Beach.
Caribbean Beach.
No, it's Caribbean Beach Resort.
No, Caribbean. It's Caribbean Beach. I don't know. Anyway,
We're getting back into the kitty and catty
Yeah.
corner thing again.
okay. So the Caribbean Beach Resort, the first time we stayed there, I love that it sleeps my family so well. Great rooms for 5, and that's not what we're talking about, but I love this resort for so many reasons, the pool being one of them. The first time we stayed there was right after we had just left on a cruise out of Puerto Rico. And the fort pool looks exactly like the forts that are right across from the port in Puerto Rico. It was like flashbacks, so many great conversations about it, so much it sent Laker down a rabbit hole of researching like where all of this structure comes from. It's awesome. I love it so much.
Disney leans hard into the authenticity factor. They're really great about that across everything. I mean, the pool is one example, but I mean, gosh, Epcot, like all the different countries around World Showcase, Disney is so fantastic at making things authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is absolutely Jack approved. I might have more slides than any other pool. Like you were mentioning the multiple slides at the splash area. I think there's 3 on that splash area and then 2 in the main pool. That's 5 total for kiddos to enjoy. It can be absolutely relaxing. You're at that moderate tier at this point. So it's a little less vibrant in your face, but still really heavy on the theming. So I think it's a good balance. The 0 entry, obviously, we know how important that is to me. It's plenty big. You've got lots of little coves to swim through and around, which is really cool. The water cannons are a blast. And I think it's among the top pools on Disney property.
Yeah.
I agree. Especially being at a moderate resort. I feel like this would be a pool worthy of being at a deluxe resort. It is a fantastic. You walk across a bridge to an island where you're going to watch movies. Like there's so much there. And if you want to take a nap, Caribbean Beach has those hammocks.
Yeah.
That you can go sit on the beach and take a nap in a hammock. Like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Very good. Yeah, one of the best pools. Absolutely. Caribbean Beach. Huge selling point for that resort. Contemporary. This is tough. Contemporary, I stayed at once growing up, and the thing I remember about staying there as a kid is feeling like the pool was lacking.
That makes me a little bit sad. I haven't stayed at the Contemporary with my kids yet, but we were actually there just in passing this weekend, and my kids saw like the little water play area with the sprayers and the cannons and stuff, and they were like, "Can we go do that?" But I see what you mean. It doesn't have that kind of larger than life factor, right?
Yeah, I think there's a way to, like some of these deluxe resorts we've talked about already, to still have the theming and the over the top that you want from Disney, but not make it in your face like some of the values. And the reason I say value versus deluxe here is because Contemporary is a deluxe resort, and there is a way to balance that. And I do think that the pool theming is consistent with the Contemporary, being the modern sort of sleek resort that they want it to be. It's just that approach isn't my favorite. And so this pool kind of falls flat for me. Like the theming is the color blue.
Yeah, it's definitely leaning into that minimalistic vibe that just is the Contemporary, which for me, like I grew up always dreaming of the Grand Floridian, and there are some amazing things to talk about in the Grand Floridian pool that are really going to draw us there. But now that I'm experiencing them on a regular basis, I think the Contemporary is actually more of my vibe, but the pool is definitely lacking.
Yeah, it's hard to put my finger on it exactly. Is it Jack Jack approved? Yeah, your toddler's gonna love it. Like Katie just said, she has toddlers. They were running by that sprayer area and they wanted to go to it. Kids are gonna like it. It's water, it's splashing, there is a slide, like of course it gets a mark there. And really most of the Disney pools get a mark there. Except for Boardwalk, we didn't give it a mark, but I think that was fair. And Contemporary has a little bit more going for it in terms of play, so that's great. And it is relaxing
And quiet.
as long as you like the color blue, as long as that's a serene color to you.
Yes.
What about zero entry?
So, zero entry, you know what's kind of also lacking here is a pool name. It's called the feature pool. It's not like something magnificent that they've named the theming of it. It's like we've give up. We don't have anything else to add. This is just the feature pool.
That's so funny.
The feature pool is not a zero entry, but they do have a zero entry pool over at Bay Lake Tower. So if you need it, it's available. But at the feature pool, literally the feature pool, you're lacking scooting your mermaid fins into the pool.
Yeah, we should point out that at Contemporary, there is a pool at Bay Lake Tower and the Contemporary. There's two pools, kind of like we said at Animal Kingdom Lodge, which is cool. And so that's bonus, that's nice. Plenty big, would you say? I mean,
Yeah, it's a good resort size pool.
I would say elbow room, it kind of leans into the Sleeping Beauty factor here, though, too, because there's not a ton of people going out of their way for the pool. It leans into being a quieter pool and having more elbow room.
True.
yeah, I don't know that I necessarily feel super comfortable giving it a Tinkerbell. Like, I just it doesn't feel over the top to me. There are better splash areas, there are better slides, there are definitely better themings. So I just think for a deluxe resort in like iconic resort, Contemporary is an iconic Disney resort.
The pool's not what's bringing you there.
No, certainly not. So it's the proximity to Magic Kingdom and everything else kind of falls for me. So yeah, I don't think it gets there.
I agree.
So what grade does Contemporary get?
I think it ends up with a B, and that almost feels generous.
I think we have to make an exception here, make it a B minus because it only gets a half point on Ariel.
I think so, yeah.
It's a B minus. Okay, fair enough. All right, so Coronado Springs, the lost city of Cibola pool. Cibola.
I don't actually know how you pronounce that one.
Well, it's a fun pool. Do you guys like this pool?
I do love this pool. It is that, if nothing else, the pyramid is going to draw you in. Having the water slide, going down it, sitting in the water cascading down the pool. It's a massive pool, and their hot tub is awesome. It is massive.
Yeah, it's the largest hot tub on Disney property. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this pool. So I mentioned that we stayed there the year it opened. I have great memories swimming there growing up. And I have stayed there once with my kiddos. 2 years ago, we stayed there. And yeah, the hot tub was the biggest on property. Not only, first of all, we call this the pyramid pool because of the big pyramid. So in my family, we just call it the pyramid pool. And in addition to the awesome water slide, you kind of climb up that pyramid. It's really, really neat. They also have a playground in the pool area,
Yeah.
which is really like a dry playground outside of the water park, which I think is really unique. A lot of pools do not have that feature.
Yeah, I hate to like kind of lump the playground in with it because I mean lots of resorts do have playgrounds, but I think Coronado's is definitely the most imaginative and immersive with that sort of like historic Incan kind of ruin feeling.
Yeah.
Like it feels very
And
adventurous.
it's right there with the pool, right? So it's not part of the pool, but it's part of my pool day when I'm there,
Yeah,
And so that's why I think it's fair to say it. and put it with the pool. So, my kids were a little younger when we stayed there. I would have put them in the Jack Jack approval category, and they absolutely Jack Jack approved it. I mean, they were sipping Shirley Temples and sitting at that playground and then going down that slide, and it was really great time. They did Mickey tie-dye there,
Mhm.
which is a thing you can do it at all the pools usually. But we did it there, and that was really fun. I don't think that the color and the theming is too overwhelming. I found it to be very relaxing. I actually did a Zoom call from the side with AirPods in. So I thought that that would kind of right there alone say it could be Sleeping Beauty approved. Does not have a zero entry.
Nope. No zero entry.
So we stayed at Coronado like my husband had been recovering from his accident and his hips were no longer broken, but they were sore. And I remember it being a struggle like getting into the pool because it was not zero entry.
Yeah, negative marks there. Too bad. Really wish all Disney pools had that because it makes a big difference in my memories of how we spent the day at the pool. Yeah, it's going to lose marks there. Plenty big though. You kind of have the main stair area, what I call the main stair area, and then off to your left, a huge swimming area, and straight off in front of you, the slide, waterfall. Becky mentioned plenty of room to really explore. And
what's funny to me is you didn't mention the kiddie pool, and that makes a lot of sense in the context of this conversation because the kiddie pool is there, but it's nothing to write home about, right?
right, exactly. Yeah, like
It's a pool behind a gate. It's like, is this a kiddie pool? I'm not sure. It is a kiddie pool, but it's like question.
It's literally just a rectangle with water in it.
yeah, my kids were like very uninterested.
Yeah.
Not into it, but it was there, and I think you get points for that. So I think
Yeah.
Tinkerbell, just the slide in the pyramid is really neat. The playground being in the area, having the kiddie pool plus the largest hot tub, I think you get Tinkerbell marks. This is a great pool, and the biggest problem with it is the lack of zero entry. So I think everywhere else it gets its marks, and that makes it an A.
I agree. And I also think something else missing from this pool is it's kind of far from some rooms. It can be really far from some of those areas. But like we said, Coronado, Coronado is among my very favorite resorts. It's amazing.
I think it's why this pool is overlooked a lot because the resort can be overlooked because it's so massive and sometimes inconvenient. But the pool should be a really good factor when you're thinking about staying there. You do walk over these really pretty bridges. They're like these long bridges over the water to get to the pool, which is really beautiful. And there's a sand area and hammocks similar to Caribbean Beach that we discussed. It is calm and serene and wonderful. So
It's amazing.
awesome pool. Well, that's going to get us halfway through the Disney pools, and we are laying out some grades. Guess what? This episode is a two-parter. That's right. If you're loving our conversation on resort pools, you're only getting half of the grades today, half of the marks. You're going to have to come back next week to hear our discussion about the remaining 10 pools, how they stack up, and ultimately what the best pool on Disney property will be. And I think we have some really interesting things to discuss for the back half of this episode. There's some really heavy hitters and I think some really surprising sleepers in the pools that we have left to discuss. So I'm very excited to talk through them. Just a quick recap where we are so far. All-Star Movies, Fantasia Pool received a B. All-Star Music, Calypso Pool, a C. All-Star Sports Surfboard Bay Pool, a C minus. The Animal Kingdom Lodge sister pools over at Kidani Village and Jambo House, A plus. That was our first big A plus. Art of Animation, the Big Blue Pool caused a little bit of a debate here, but ultimately won out with an A plus rating. I was a little bit of a tougher teacher there. The Beach Club and Yacht Club Pool, Stormalong Bay, obviously coming out with an A plus. The Boardwalk Inn and Villas Luna Park Pool, a B. Caribbean Beach Fuentes de Morro Pool, an A plus, absolutely. The Contemporary, the Future Pool, coming in with a B minus, deservedly so. And finally, Coronado Springs, Lost City of Cibola Pool, or just the Pyramid Pool, an A. I feel great about these grades. I really think these are fair.
I agree. I'm surprised how many A pluses we're getting. I think this theme of we overlook things because we get used to saying the same things over and over and over. It's so awesome to talk like in depth about what these pools actually are offering your family.
Yeah, and if you're, like I said at the beginning, if you're already booked to stay at one of these pools and your pool didn't get the grade you were hoping for, just please remember that you're going to have fun at every pool, and we're talking very, very specifically, you know. The boardwalk got a B rating from us, grade, and I've had great fun there. So you're going to have fun no matter what, but I think being harsh on these pools and having high expectations is only fair. Cannot wait to get to the back half of this conversation. It's really going to be fun. My heart lives in the back half of this conversation, but I also have a surprising take on one of the pools that we're going to talk about next time. And I cannot wait for you all to figure out which pool that is. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this time on the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. Grading pools, letting you in on some of the things you may not have known about the pools. And I had so much fun. Cannot wait to continue the conversation. Cannot wait to see you there. As always, if you have not already liked and subscribed wherever you are listening, do that now. Find us on all social media platforms at Smart Moms Plan Disney Podcast. Join us on Facebook in that community. And of course, our Patreon. You can find information on membership to our Patreon right in today's show notes. And we cannot wait to see you there. So until next time, we'll see you real soon.